Hello again, everyone. This is Nathaniel Gibson bringing to you my Week 6 MPA540 discussion board. I'll be taking a look today at the Hatch Act of 1938 and, of course, the idea and concept of um, content neutrality among public administrators. So a brief overview of this presentation. I will be going over, as I said, the Hatch Act of 1938, taking a look at the background and concept behind the legislation. I'll be discussing its importance then as well as today and how the act itself has been amended and adjusted to fit the modern political spectrum. And I will also be discussing its importance and also its applicability to modern public administration. So the original Hatch Act was an attempt to regulate corruption and possible intimidation within the federal government. And it was enacted by Congress in 1938 or 39, I think it was. Senator Carl Hatch, who is the main proponent for this bill, wanted to help organize a legislative agenda which could prohibit federal employees from taking any policy positions and also playing any active part within political campaigns. And it was a very sweeping legislative agenda. It placed a lot of restrictions on federal government workers and was also expanded the following year after its adoption to include state and local government officials as well. But like I said, it was a very strict piece of legislation, put a lot of limits on the involvement that government workers could have within political campaigns. And so the concept behind the Hatch Act can really be broken down into four primary goals. Number one being to ensure political neutrality of government workers. Number two, to prevent partisan elected officials from using government employees for their own political purposes. Thirdly, preventing public employees' loyalty to any one political party or individual. And then also, finally, to protect public employees from the prior existence of politically motivated job actions, which you'll all be aware of was the Pendleton Act. And so taking a look at my position and opinion on the Hatch Act and content neutrality itself, I personally believe public administrators are to be held to a politically neutral standard for their work, especially within public organizations. I think Woodrow Wilson says it well in his essay, The Study of Administration. It is the office of the administrative organizer to fit administration with conditions of clear-cut responsibility which shall ensure trustworthiness. And I think what Wilson is trying to get at is, the public sector has obviously it's to serve the needs of the people, but it's the tax dollars from American citizens which go to fund government revenues and expenditures. And so it is the government who should act responsibly and ethical and integral with this immense responsibility that they have given to them by the people. I think that the Hatch Act in its originality placed a lot of restrictions on federal employees, also state and local as well, which prevented them from being able to exercise their own free speech and First Amendment rights. But over time, the Hatch Act was amended through several court cases, including the United Public Workers of America versus Mitchell case with the Supreme Court in 1947, as well as even more recent court cases such as Bowers versus Cornett, which was in 1989. And these modern amendments to the Hatch Act provided more freedom of expression for government employees and the ability to exercise their political ideals within their jobs as well. Much more freedom in that regard. But I think going back to the original intent for the bill, I think it really was focused on trying to preserve the integrity of government institutions, which I am completely for. I support that, and I want to make that a goal of my own public service motivation. And so I think having that intentionality with the original Hatch Act was an important part of that piece of legislation. And so that wraps up my brief overview of the Hatch Act, as well as a consideration of my position in regards to the legislation. I really enjoyed getting to research this topic and sharing it with all of you, and I also look forward to discussing it further with you in this week's discussion board. Thank you.